You can imprison the revolutionary, but you cannot imprison the revolution. You can imprison the human rights defender, but you are only creating a path for hundreds of new human rights defenders. The Bahraini revolution is what I like to call the inconvenient revolution. It's inconvenient to the Arabs, it's inconvenient to the West, it's inconvenient to everyone. It's one of the most underreported stories in the Arab Spring, if not the most. You don't read much about Bahrain in the news. You know, when protests start becoming bigger and bigger, the media says, oh, the protests come back to Bahrain. And the fact of the matter is they never stopped.
So the current president of the Bahrain Center for Human Rights is Nabil Rajab, and he's in prison, been given a 2-year sentence. And so the acting president is Maryam Alkhawaja. Her father actually was one of those who founded the center several years ago, Abdul Hadi Alkhawaja, and he's also in prison serving a life sentence. I mean, year after year, they've been cataloguing, documenting and lobbying around human rights abuses in Bahrain well before February the 14th, 2011. But there's been a very severe crackdown on them and their work since then, and it hasn't worked.
The Bahrain Center for Human Rights was never an organization that had a fancy office, or a huge billboard outside that people could come and visit. And it was never a place where people worked because they needed a salary. The Bahrain Center for Human Rights was built on volunteer work. Everything that we've achieved was because there were people who took it upon themselves to say, I want to see a better Bahrain. When the Bahrain Center for Human Rights receives something like the Baldwin Award, it really is providing us with a platform. It sort of works as a megaphone to bring out the voices of the people who are being silenced by regimes like the Bahraini regime. When it comes to the United States' stance towards Bahrain, there are many things that the United States needs to do. The fact that the US administration has decided to sell arms to Bahrain at a time when they have offered no real reforms on the ground really comes as a message of business as usual. To some people on the ground, it feels like a green light for the government to continue doing what they're doing. You know, Bahrain is not one of those countries that needs boots on the ground. You don't need a military intervention in Bahrain, nor are the people of Bahrain asking for that. What you need in Bahrain is for these governments, like the United States, like the United Kingdom, who claim to support, and hold dear these values and principles of democracy and human rights, to actually do that, whether it's with an ally or not.